The real reason no one wants to work anymore. So this video is going to be a little bit more somber because I'm going to get right to the point. There are some real reasons why people don't want to work anymore. Even as someone that's an entrepreneur that's looking for employees, I have a hard time finding people. And in fact, I outsource a lot of my employees or my workers from other countries. I'm going to share with you some real stats about why people are not wanting to work, what you can do about it, and some real things that are going on in this economy that is going to change work forever. Let's go.
Noelle. Yeah, she can fix that. You gotta get it done, or you need to do it better. Well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
So again, most people think that this is a somber topic. And in fact, I kind of am coming to this like this is a little bit sad because no one wants to work anymore. And everybody thinks this is Gen Z and Gen X and millennials started this. And as an elder millennial, someone that's, solidly in my early 40s, I am an older millennial. I'm probably the last year of millennial that gets to get counted as a millennial. And I too used to work a full-time job at many banks. I worked at Bank of America. I worked at Wells Fargo. I worked at Chase Bank. I've worked at other major large mortgage companies. And I can tell you unequivocally, towards the end of my career, all I could think of was not working anymore for anyone else. So I am someone that knows what it's like to go to college, climb the corporate ladder, find absolutely no fulfillment in any of the work that I was doing, made a lot of money, and then quit even with a really high salary. And I can see people doing that all the time now. And there are some real reasons why that's happening. And I want to break that down for you in this video. So the first thing that we got to start with is, of course, is entrepreneurs. Everyone can actually be an entrepreneur now. You do not have to work for someone else in order to make a great living. And in fact, many of the companies that are out here, these big corporations, and again, I just named 3 major banks that I worked for. I can honestly say that they are having an issue with keeping good employees, and the whole economy of work is changing because great employees can now become consultants. They can become independent contractors. They can actually start their own businesses. So one of the major reasons why it's really hard to find someone to come and work for you, especially in an office, is because they don't have to. And we're going to talk about how we got here in this video, but the true manner is the workers of the world have realized their power. They have realized what their contribution to these corporations has been, and they are starting to realize that it is not fulfilling. The financial incentives are not there, and there's other options available. And one of the major other options is entrepreneurship, whether it be driving for Uber or if it be actually starting your own business. And again, even higher paid employees are realizing that they can create their own consulting companies and do the same thing for these companies that they do as employees. They can do it as a consultant and have their own freedom. Okay. And they can actually choose which companies they work with. Quick, hold up. Let me tell you something. One of the things that you can do to solve this problem is get your own company. I'm going to cut right to the chase. So you can click the link below to 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐺 Consultant and reach out to my friends. They can help you build business credit. They can help you get business funded, and they can help you with your business plan. You can have a successful business, and you have a free call with 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐺 Consultant to help you get the funding and the business credit that you need. All right, let's get back to this video. So let's get into some of this and how we got here, because it's a long, crazy story that I did a lot of research to go through. And I really want to talk to you about how we got here and let you know, again, right from the front, the answer is entrepreneurship, and the idea that we can actually be entrepreneurs. And the reason why this is because of companies. They actually created the problem that they are now having. And I don't know how to solve it, but I'm going to tell you how we got here and let you know if you have a side hustle of a business that you want to do, you absolutely can. You probably make more money doing it yourself, especially in the long run. If you don't quit after a year or 2 years, you actually in the long run probably make more money working for yourself or creating your own business than you ever would working for someone else. Like I said, I used to work. I climbed the corporate ladder. The last job that I worked I was paid over $200,000 per year. The first year that I quit and started working on my own, I made over $400,000. The next year I made over $1 million. I have never made less than $1 million since. Okay. And this has been year after year after year. I can put up those same numbers. So just think about that for a second. If you are an employee that works for a company and you realize that you have all of this value, okay, you are paid, let's just say $100,000. Well, guess what? You probably could make $200,000 on your own without having to answer to your boss and do exactly what they say, especially if you find some fulfillment in the work. So let's go back though, because this all started basically the economy that we're in the 2020s. Really, this change started happening in the 1960s and the 1970s. Let's go back. So in the 1970s, we found a period in history where workers were going on strike in record numbers. All of a sudden, unions were created. I'm not going to go back into the 40s, into the 50s, because you can kind of imagine what the workforces were like, after World War II and things like that. But let's go into the more modern economy that we have now, which is very capitalist, which is not based on the gold standard, different things like that, where we have this fiat economy where money is not based on anything. Okay. So just kind of know that is the concept with the American economy. Money is not based on anything. It's a fiat economy. As long as the IRS is accepting your money, that's why the dollar has value. So in the 1970s, people started going on strike for better working conditions. Okay. So we know what happened in the 40s and the 50s, and children were working. They started changing the laws and really started to be more, care more about employees and care about how they were treated at work and how they were paid. And all of a sudden, the workers started to unite, create unions, and go on strike and fight for better working conditions, fight for better pay, fight for more morality in these businesses and how they worked. Well, by the end of the 1970s, white collar jobs had increased by more than 50%. So instead of people working in like a manufacturing type of settings, they were now working in offices. They could put on a shirt and a tie. They could be accountants. They could be executive assistants, different things like that inside of an office, customer service jobs, all of those types of things just rose. Well, of course, as they were fighting for more, better conditions and higher pay and different things like that, that brought on outsourcing. Okay. So as the American worker fought for better conditions and started making gains, well, guess what? Then corporations started to realize that they could just outsource and get employees from other countries with cheaper employees, with cheaper costs of living. And they really started to focus, instead of on employee satisfaction, it became, for corporations, all about stakeholder satisfaction. So again, stakeholders are your shareholders, people that buy stocks in your company. So that is all driven by what? Profit. Employees care about their working conditions, how much money they're paid, how many hours they have to work, different things like that. But shareholders, they care about profits. How much money are we making? Why are you spending this much money on employees? Why did you buy them drinks and put stuff like that in the break room? Why are you paying them all this money for overtime? Well, if we get workers from India or the Philippines or from China and all these other countries, we don't have to do these things. So corporations truly got more greedy. Okay. This is Noelle's opinion, but I'm going to just tell you up front, I have a master's degree from Penn State in economic development, and I have an MBA from Baylor University. Most of your academics is really going to prove that this was probably something that contributed to this. Okay. Now, of course, none of us have a glass ball and we can say equivocally, like, this is what happened. But we know from history that corporations really started to get more focused on shareholder profits and the stock prices and profitability, and started moving away from what the employees wanted, breaking up unions, and getting rid of that type of stuff so that they can make more profits. And that was when the dawn of outsourcing came along. So now we move our factories over to Mexico, then we move them over to the Philippines, and we move them over to China, where workers don't have these same rights. We don't have to pay them as much. And the CEO of these big corporations can deliver higher stock, gains to their shareholders. And that became the focus. So yeah, the truth of the matter is this greed. We wanted to make more profits. Corporations, I'm not saying we, corporations wanted to make more profits, and they cared less about their employees. That's how we got here, plain and simple. So another thing that corporations started to do with their employees here, because again, American workers still have value, the engineers, the computer programmers, the scientists, a lot of those positions could not be outsourced. And so those were higher paid blue collar jobs, accountants and different things, operations managers that needed to be done. And those needed to be American workers. Well, in order to keep going with this greed thing and making more money, a lot of these positions became independent contractor positions. So a lot of times you would be hired as a company back in the 70s and the 80s. You would be an employee. You would get a W-2. You would get a salary. You would be paid paid overtime. You would have a pension. They would actually put money into your pension. And when you retired from said corporation, you got this pension. Well, guess what? You guys already know we moved to 401ks. You fund your own retirement. Don't care about you, baby. You can be an independent contractor. I'll pay you a little bit more money, but now I'm not giving you health insurance. I'm not giving you dental insurance. I'm not paying workers' comp. Companies and corporations started to have less employees. And in fact, the workforce of many of these bigger corporations, it's not just automation that have caused them to have less employees. It's truly that they went from having employees to choosing to have these people be independent contractors, 1099 employees, where they're contractors. I just pay you your salary. I don't have to pay you any benefits. Well, guess what? What did that then lead to? More employees, the independent contractor employee, but again, because many of them were independent contractors, but still treated as employees. Okay. You still had to show up at work at the same time. You had to come to the meetings, all of these things. You still had to behave as an employee, but you were an independent contractor. So what did the employee and workforce do? Responded. Well, guess what? If you're not going to treat me like an employee, you're not going to give me benefits, and you're not going to fund my retirement, and you don't care about my pension or my benefits or my well-being, I don't care about you, corporation, either. And that is the realization that Noelle Randall came to. Okay. Probably in like 2010, 2011, it really started to just open my eyes when I became, I was entering my 30s, like 2011 or whatever. I was like, wait a minute. I'm 30 years old now and I'm not getting a pension. I have to fund my own 401k. The better jobs that were available to me, I was an independent contractor. That's how I could make a bunch of money. Instead of actually being an employee of the company, I can make more money as an independent contractor. So now I too don't have that loyalty to this company. I'm going to pack up my 401k and go to whoever is paying me the most amount of money. And that's what the employees responded to in response to corporations. So I can't tell you whether it's the chicken or the egg, but I really feel like the corporation started it and the workforce finished it. And so now, because people are now used to being independent contractors, that's a whole different mindset. So now you don't have this loyalty to a company because they don't have loyalty to you. So now there's no loyalty either way. And as an independent contractor, you start to realize your value as an employee, as a worker, and that you can take your skills. Y'all take my skill set and all of this value that I have. I will take this somewhere else. And this has continued. This trend is continuing. Employers are not paying enough to keep up with a living wage, what they make versus what inflation is. And so it's not really that much of an incentive to be an employee. It actually is more of an incentive to be an independent contractor for that company, and then also have your side hustles or your other businesses that you're working on where you actually could have your own thing. And then when you add to it the new knowledge that we have of business credit and business funding, and knowing that banks are lending to businesses, not individuals. So if you walk into a bank and you want a personal loan, or if you walk into a bank and you ask for a business line of credit, you actually have way more money for the business lines of credit, the business credit cards, the business loans than they have on the consumer lending side, lending to you personally with your social security number. So guess what? It's more in your benefit as an employee, as a part of a workforce, to have a product or service that you can sell to the marketplace. So instead of just companies and corporations outsourcing, you too can outsource. I can sell my stuff. I sell books to people in Australia and Nigeria. I have people watching my channel all over the globe. So instead of giving all of my talents and my value to one place like Chase Bank, for example, Noelle Randall, all of this knowledge that she has of real estate and business credit and business funding and DTI and business profiles, I can do and sell those things myself out in the marketplace and make way more money than Chase is willing to pay me for my services. And that is just that simple. So if you have this value, anything can make $1 million. You should probably reach out to my friends at 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐥𝐝 Consulting. Like I said before, you can actually have your own business. You actually get a free consultation with 𝐁𝐿𝐬𝐢𝐥𝐝 Consultant. Please use the link in the description box and tell them that Noelle Randall sent you. You probably already have some talent, some product, some service, some side hustle, something that you do that you could turn into a real business and end up with millions of dollars. Literally, you can walk into a bank for a business and end up with way more funding than you ever could just working a job and then showing them your W-2s and them lending you money. You literally could end up with way more money to fund your business than you ever could working a job. And that is one of the reasons why no one wants to work anymore. It's not an incentive. It's more of an incentive to bet on yourself and have your own business, even while working a job, having a business. So then eventually you can get away from that job and put it all into your business, because that is truly where the wealth is. That's where the time freedom is. That is where you own your time. You pick your clients, you pick when you work, and you have this freedom. And in many cases, it's the same money, if not more. Usually it's more money. Okay. Because companies are not trying to make you rich. They're not. That's not their goal. And the more that they make you an independent contractor and do things like that, that corporations are doing, where you're not getting paid overtime, they're not funding your pension, they're not giving you a pension, they're not giving you benefits. You'd be much better to go into get some Obamacare, so you have some insurance for you and your family, and have your own business. That is why no one wants to work anymore. All of these things that we can do to make money with our own self is why no one wants to work anymore. And quite frankly, I don't think that many people should be. And I think unless corporations start to change, they are going to see more of this trend. And quite frankly, I think that that is fine. I am an entrepreneur, and I can tell you unequivocally, I've made more money than I've ever made working a job. Now, did I just quit my job and immediately I was rich? No. In fact, I worked my side hustle until I got it making enough money, got enough rental properties. It basically is what I did. I got enough rental properties where the income from the rental properties could cover my salary. And then I walked away and I never went back. Okay. You can do those same things. And now with business credit and getting business funding, you can reach out to my friends at 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐥𝐝 Consultant. Use that link below in the description box. They will give you a free consultation. You could talk about how to build business credit while having a job. You can do this. This is not something where you have to, there's some pity party. I'm not going to tell you about how to get the best job. I'm not going to tell you about stuff to say in an interview. I have hired and fired more people than you could ever imagine. Wells Fargo, we used to have job fairs where I'd have to work for 3 days straight in like a convention center, just hiring people. And then they would fire them or lay them off 3 and 6 months later. Okay. Hand to the sky. This happened all the time. And I'm not throwing Wells Fargo under the bus. Bank of America would do the same thing. They have these job fairs. They hire people in. They'll hire tons of people in for a project they have. And as soon as they are done with them, they're gone. That's what corporations now do. So why would you want to stay in that game? Why would you want to stay in that rat race? When are you going to start looking out for yourself? Noelle Randall started looking out for herself and became a millionaire while I was in my 30s. And now I'm in my 40s. I'm a multimillionaire. Or I could have kept climbing that corporate ladder, looking for them to give me more money, looking for them to give me purpose. That's another major reason why people don't want to work anymore. The jobs that we have most likely don't make any sense. Like I said, the money that I was getting as the $200,000 employee, I was an operations manager. So I'm making sure that this is moving the way it's on. I have my customers, I have my internal customers, I have my external customers, and we're making sure the business and the operation is flowing. Well, that's CEO stuff. So while I'm being a senior operations manager or a vice president at this company for $200,000, Noelle Randall could be the CEO of Noelle Randall Incorporated and make $1 million. Well, which one would you choose? Exactly. Because you're not connected to the purpose of their job. But when you create your own company and your own thing that you do, you can start to put your own values and morals into the company. Let me tell you a quick story. One of the reasons that I was a great employee, but there was one thing that I look back on and I kind of just cringe that I used to do. And I'm sure you have the same thing. Because nowadays these careers have no meaning. There's no purpose. There's no real connection to the work that you do. You know, especially if you work in the accounting department or you work in the operations department, you're not connected to the end product in any way. So it just doesn't give you any purpose as an employee doing those jobs. And then we'll also start to put in our morals. So say, for example, let me tell you a quick story. I worked in banking. Okay. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. I used to work in a subprime mortgage company. Okay. This was the earlier 2000s. And I hated that they would gross up a person's income. So we would have retired borrowers and they would have get Social Security income, and it's non-tax. So in the mortgage and the banking industry, they will call gross up the income, okay, by 25% or 33%. So if you make let's go at $1,000, instead of it being $1,000, it would be $1,250. Okay. I'm just using that as an example. You gross it up by 225%. And that is the income that you would qualify them with. Because if I'm a W-2 employee, you would take my gross income. Okay. That's not taxed. So to even it out, people that have untaxed income, they gross it up. But the truth of the matter is the income is the income. So they would gross up the income, and then they would also do debt ratio exceptions. So usually your debt ratio shouldn't be over 50%. Well, then they would say, well, they could go to 60%. Well, you grossed up their income, so it's not real income, and you're letting them go to a 60% DTI, which is dangerously risky. You know, most likely they're not going to be able to pay this loan back. And I just was morally against it. And I would go and I would tell them my opinion. I don't think we should do this. You know, this wasn't really Noelle Randall. This was old me. I call her Shauna. Shauna was like adamant and more, more militant that we should be doing the right things. This is not right. This is not morally right. And I would go tell, higher ups and different people at the company what I thought about their lending practices and about what they were doing. And, oh yeah, we should give this person a credit card. And I'm like, no, they don't need a credit card. That's Noelle's opinion. They said, let's give them a credit card because that's how they make money. So many times, and I know you have this, I'm talking to you, you go into your job with your moral opinions about what they're doing. And that is the wrong place for it. Take it from someone that did that. That is the wrong place for it. What you should be doing is creating your own company so you can put your own moral values into your company and stop trying to change Chase Bank and Amazon and Tesla and trying to get them to do, these bigger companies to do what you want them to do. You start your own company and you do what you want to do in your company and stop trying to change these companies to fit your moral compass. And I've talked to people that are employee. Oh, they were trying to get me to do credit cards, or they were trying to get me to sell these people more stuff. Yes, it's their company and you're an employee. That's what they want you to do. If you don't want to do that, get your own company. It's that simple. And I don't have the money. Call 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐥𝐝 Consultant and get a business loan. Okay. I'm just saying that that's one way. But instead of trying to change these big corporations to fit your purpose and your morals and your values, you literally are wasting your time. You could be starting your own company. And then you could not give people credit cards if you don't want them to have credit cards, or you can not gross up their income and then give them these high risk loans that they're going to, fail on. That was Noelle's opinion. But my job said, let's do that. So again, bottom line to it, stop trying to put your morals on these companies and quit and start your own company. And you can do it. If you found someone to pay you $50,000, $60,000 a year, guess how valuable you really are. Okay. If they pay you 100, especially highly paid employees, people that make 100,000, 200,000, do you know how much money you would make if you owned your own company doing that? Now it's going to be more of a risk. And that's what people don't like. So it's funny how we say people don't want to work anymore, but being an entrepreneur is going to come with more risk. And are you willing to take that risk and make more money and have more purpose and be connected to your business and what you do each day? Or do you want to just have enough money to pay your bills and you'll find purpose somewhere else? Those are going to be your two options. That's that simple. Pick your poison. Risk of being out on your own, or stay with this job and keep doing what it is that they want and find purpose somewhere else. Those are your two options. But but Noelle gives you her opinion. I'm going to tell you it's easier to start your own business than you think. It's easier to find funding for your business, much easier than you think. It's much easier to become a millionaire with your own business than it is working for someone else's business. It's easier to control your time when you work for yourself versus when you work for other people. So there's some real benefits into doing it. But yes, it is going to be a risk. So again, if you want any help with starting a business, if you already have a business, I strongly suggest you reach out to my friends at 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐥𝐝 Consultant. They can help you build business credit. They can help you get business funding. They can get you on the right track and help you with a plan to escape the rat race, escape working for someone else and get to the point where you are working for yourself. You feel fulfilled and connected with what you're doing, and you can make a lot of money. I want to always encourage you. I know there's people out there that speak negatively about being an entrepreneur or how hard it is. I don't think it's any harder to be an entrepreneur than it was for me to climb the corporate ladder. Both were difficult. I had to make sacrifices. I had to take risks. I had to move. It was all types of stuff that I did to get these well-paying jobs. And it's the same if I have my own business. But in fact, I think the rewards are so much easier and so much higher working for myself because I get to reap all of the rewards. When I am successful, I am successful. You can make I've closed deals for companies and gotten them clients, gotten them $2 million, $4 million, and I didn't see a penny of it. That's not the case with my own business. So again, I always wanted to tell you that this video was going to be a little bit longer because I really want to get into it. But again, I think that is corporations that have started this whole problem. It's a real problem that people don't want to work anymore. But I think that corporations started it with that whole changing their employees to independent contractors. That was the catalyst to this all. And the workforce, that those independent contractors have been taking their services to other companies ever since. So let's keep doing that. So I just want to finish out by saying I strongly believe that you can start your own business. I also feel like my friends at 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐥𝐝 Consulting can help you. It's a free consultation. Find out and see. I just want to make sure that you have all of the knowledge, all of the tools, and all of the resources that you need to be successful. This is Noelle. To your success.